What could the random murder of a 6-year-old child snatched from her bed in her own home possibly have to do with national security? A May 2016 article written by Timothy Charles Holmseth asked this question, which I believe cracks open the entire case, which has had the American public fascinated, horrified, and perplexed since the 1990s. Holmseth makes the connection to Kathy O'Brien, who claims to have information on the JonBenét Ramsey case. Kathy's claims seem to be a skeleton key that opened many doors for me in researching this particular matter. Kathy O'Brien is a recovered and vocal survivor of the CIA's MKULTRA Project Monarch mind control operation. Born in Michigan in 1957, Kathy was born into a family of generational pedophilia. She was sexually abused by her father from infancy. Kathy's father, Earl O'Brien, had a 6th grade education and earned his money as a worm digger. He supplemented his meager income through sales of pornography, images of Kathy and her siblings being abused. He was selling these images through the U.S. mail until one day he was caught by the U.S. government. Lucky for Earl, though, a local politician approached him with a proposition.
This one particular politician that was involved in that was just a local politician at that time. And he approached my father and told him he could receive immunity from prosecution if he would agree to sell me into MKUltra mind control. Because any child who had been and used in child so horrifically prior to age 5 would be suffering from the dissociative identity disorder that made me a target for mind control.
Trauma-based mind control programs such as MKUltra and Project Monarch, were revealed to the public via declassified documents in the 70s and again in the 90s, with several victims giving testimony before Congress. The basis of these programs is the routine infliction of severe trauma upon a child in order to force their mind into a dissociative state, allowing them to be controlled without awareness. Up until the age of 7, children live mostly in a hypnotic state of mind, when their sense of reality is being written, which explains why they target children, specifically those that come from abusive households. Bryce Taylor and Kathy O'Brien have each described in their books how they were regularly brought to Disneyland and Disney World, where they would be tortured and raped while being programmed with Disney stories, as well as Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. This has been verified in CIA documents. O'Brien says she was tortured in a room beneath Disney World, which we know was designed by agents of the CIA, who were running this program at that time. Victims of these programs were sold into them by their abusive parents, a model we see today with parents pimping their children out to the entertainment industry.
Even today, we have reason to believe that MKUltra lives on in an even more heinous form as the Monarch Project. And the difference between the Monarch Project and the MKUltra Project is that it fuses child abuse with Satanism. And what happens is that under the auspices of the government, children are not only tortured and drugged and electrocuted and having all sorts of horrible things done to them, but they are also hypnotized and have scientifically inserted demons placed within their altered parts, as they are called in what used to be called multiple personality disorder. It's now called dissociative identity disorder. And by doing that, they create various kinds of slaves, super spies, super sex slaves, super soldiers. And this is a very dismaying part of what the government is doing, but this is one of the many black projects that it is unknown to most, probably 99% of the American people.
As soon as my father sold me into the project, he was flown to Boston, Massachusetts, where the Catholic faction, the Jesuit faction of Project Monarch was being run by Cardinal Law. My father was trained by Cardinal Law on how to raise me in the project. This included human trafficking. It wasn't called human trafficking back then. It was just being prostituted out to all the local politicians, the policemen, all the pedophile priests that were involved in my area, and those who were part of my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge. The Blue Masonic Lodge is where all the politicians came together and were actively part of making the plans for MKUltra mind control.
O'Brien observes the evidence of the JonBenét Ramsey murder as the result of a torture session involving controlled asphyxiation, electric shock, and sexual assault during a mind control programming session. Whether little JonBenét was killed by asphyxiation or that blow to the head sort of depends who you ask. Dr. Cyril Wecht is a renowned forensic pathologist, and he points to the fact that JonBenét's head injury only produced 7 cc, or about 1.5 teaspoons of blood. As such, he believes that that injury was inflicted after JonBenét was already deceased as a result of ligature strangulation from that cord around the neck. He believes the perpetrator inflicted this injury to cover up the actual cause of death, which is asphyxiation.
What do you think? If any one of us got cracked on the head like that, do you think there might be more than 1.5 teaspoons of blood? She was already dead. That blow was inflicted to make it appear that she had been assaulted by this brutal killer. She was already dead from the rope around the neck that produced cardiac arrest.
Both examining physicians also agreed that there were signs of sexual abuse, both from the night of her death and prior chronic sexual abuse. It is not in dispute that the child, both on the night of her death and leading up to it, was being sexually abused. That's an important factor.
Then there's the stun gun question. Sources say injuries on the little girl may have come from a stun gun.
Unless some other evidence is presented to me, the most likely explanation for those injuries is that they were caused by a stun gun.
The Ramseys deny owning one, but New Yorker magazine says police found a stun gun instructional video in the Ramsey house.
So this is a confirmed fact that a stun gun instructional video was found in the Ramsey household. According to Kathy O'Brien, this was a military instructional video called How to Create a Mind-Controlled Slave Using a Stun Gun. She states that she is the victim in the video, and it was filmed in Huntsville, Alabama by U.S. Army Ranger Colonel Michael Aquino, who is a confirmed Satanist and a founder of the Temple of Set.
Intelligence agencies have infiltrated and created some satanic groups, with the resurgence of these groups beginning in 1966, particularly with the birth of the Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey. LaVey's most famous associate is the National Security Agency General Michael Aquino. At the time of his membership in LaVey's group, Aquino was an Army specialist in intelligence and psychological warfare. In 1973, he became the executive officer of the 306th Psychological Operations Battalion, contemporary with his founding of the Church of Set. General Michael Aquino wrote, "From PSYOP to Mind War, the Psychology of Victory." Aquino's thesis stated that enemy populations could be subdued by inflicting a state of psychological terror and feelings of imminent destruction. He discusses the use of psychotronic weapons or electromagnetic weapons that influence the mind.
Kathy, along with other survivors such as Bryce Taylor and Paul Bonacci, have identified Colonel Michael Aquino as one of her sadistic MKUltra programmers. O'Brien maintains that her programmer displayed satanic power in the form of high-voltage stun guns he used on her regularly. According to Kathy, Aquino's mind control programming was administered with high-tech efficiency, quickly erasing her previous handler's influence. She underwent programming torture sessions with Aquino on other military posts and a NASA flight center, all in the state of Alabama. Aquino programmed Kathy according to her owner's specification, including sadistic sex, covert CIA drug muling, blackmail, and prostitution operations. While Kathy was an MKUltra slave, she gave birth to her daughter in 1980. Aquino also began utilizing all the latest mind control modalities on Kathy's daughter by age 2, with sexual assault and stun gun torture, shattering her mind prior to her base personality forming. To this day, both mother and daughter carry the physical and emotional scars of Aquino's work.
Aquino and his fellow intelligence operatives within the Temple of Set demonstrate a clear link between occultism, which means hidden knowledge, and mind war. Isn't that the very essence of magic, to manipulate the mind?
To me, this is where the darkness comes from. This is the CIA's operations, Bluebird, Artichoke, MKUltra. These were cynical manipulations of human consciousness, disregarding any ethical or moral considerations.
Now, when it comes to this stun gun instructional video found in the Ramseys' home, Kathy states that high-profile attorney Alan Dershowitz referred to this military video found in the Ramsey home that it was censored under national security. And given the information I've shared with you thus far, you can start to see why that would be censored, as being part of a highly classified government operation. The Ramseys have addressed this video that was found in their house in their book, Death of Innocence, on page 195, writing, quote, "Later in July, I had learned that stun guns can be bought at spy shops. I remembered that Patsy and I had attended a Super Bowl game in Miami in 1994 as guests of Sun Microsystems. On Saturday morning, we had gone out for a walk in the small village of Coral Gables with no other intention than doing a little window shopping, and happened to pass by a spy shop that sold goods for security and monitoring. Several times in the past, I had wondered if a competitor might tap our telephones at the office and get sensitive information that could be used against us in business. Not that our competitors would do that, but I don't know that they wouldn't either. This particular shop in Coral Gables carried hidden cameras, bugging equipment, security devices, and everything under the sun that a person concerned with security might want. I learned that it was not easy to detect a phone tap on a complex phone system, such as the one we had at Access. I also got a sales pitch on some other things that they sold. As we left, the clerk gave me a videotape catalog to take home. When I returned to Boulder, I threw it in a drawer and completely forgot about the tape. I surmised that the police went through everything in our house. They found the video catalog, which apparently turned out to have an advertisement for, you got it, stun guns. Not too long after, the police reported to the media that they had found a stun gun, quote, instructional video, end quote, in the Ramsey house. So on the one hand, they were supporting the stun gun theory, but on the other hand, they were now indirectly saying that I had used this weapon on my daughter. Of course, for a period of time, the video created a significant uproar and cast further suspicion on me. Later, we got a copy of the video catalog from the store in Coral Gables and found it was recorded in Spanish. Not only had I never reviewed the tape, but if I had, I wouldn't have understood it. According to the Ramseys, this video was really just a catalog that they had picked up at a spy shop that happened to have an advertisement for stun guns in it. Nothing to see here, folks. Besides, what am I alleging here? That John and Patsy Ramsey were CIA assets participating in this behavioral mind control program? That seems a little far-fetched, don't you think? And yes, it is far-fetched, but nothing about this case is straightforward or typical. And is it me, or did something always feel a little bit off about these two?
Patsy was once a beauty queen and had been crowned Miss West Virginia. John was a Navy pilot and a divorced father of 3 children when he and Patsy met. Home had been Atlanta, Georgia, where JonBenét was born in 1990. The family moved to Boulder the next year to expand John's software company. The business grew quickly. The Ramseys owned a private plane and bought this 7,000-square-foot house in town. John's company, Access Graphics, had cleared $1 billion in profit that year.
What we saw in still photographs and in videos was a child dressed like an adult, very suggestive in many of these pictures, lipstick, mascara, moving around on the stage on these beauty pageants. To many people, this looks perverted. Therefore, there's got to be something wrong here.
There is something wrong here if someone thinks that looks perverted. JonBenét was an entertainer. She would entertain at the drop of a hat. Little girls dress up and play dress up.
You yourself had entered beauty contests.
Yes.
I'm a junior at West Virginia University.
So this was, what, fun for you both?
It was the most wonderful time of my life. It's not unlike a father who enjoyed playing baseball as a child. He wants to impart that same love of the game with his son or daughter. There's just absolutely nothing wrong with it.
They called JonBenét a 6-year-old Lolita, a pun-sized sex kitten.
The people that look at these things and see something perverted, that didn't come from JonBenét. That's coming from the viewer, not the child.
There are quite a few indicators that Patsy Ramsey may have been born into a Luciferian/Masonic family. Similar to Kathy O'Brien, I have to wonder if she was also used for monarch programming.
You say neither, and I say neither. Patsy always liked to be in the limelight, and she was in the pageant system. Let's throw the whole thing off.
Patsy was born just 1 year before Kathy in December of 1956. As Kathy describes in her book Transformation of America, it's quite common for MKUltra handlers to cross-program between mother and daughter, and that seems to be somewhat evident between Patsy and JonBenét.
Martin 7, and we'd like to welcome you to our home and wish you a very Merry Christmas.
We're going to solve this case, but we're going to do it our way.
As Boulder's district attorney for 26 years, running the last 7 terms unopposed, Alex Hunter is certainly popular. Veteran reporter Juliet Whitman outlined a sampling of cases not filed or undercharged.
I think there's real fear and incompetence and laziness.
Attorney Claudia Bailiff ran Boulder's Crisis Center for 5 years. She says she was so surprised at the plea bargains for child. In 1990, she prepared this formal study of Hunter's record.
The most staggering statistic we came up with was of 60 individuals who were convicted of sexually abusing children or in only 1 went to prison. And we were absolutely stunned by that.
Bailiff resigned in frustration. The new team at the Crisis Center says Hunter's record has improved.
You know, Alex Hunter should have been a criminal defense attorney or a public defender, not a district attorney.
In the late 1990s, a grand jury was convened to look into the unsolved murder of JonBenét Ramsey. The grand jury indicted both John and Patsy Ramsey, issuing a true bill for child abuse resulting in death and accessory to first-degree murder. However, Alex Hunter, the DA, chose to misrepresent the findings of the grand jury and declined to move forward with the indictment. This was all uncovered in 2013 due to litigation by investigative reporters, which caused the grand jury records to be unsealed, revealing the nature of the charges brought against the Ramsey parents. According to the grand jury, probable cause existed that Patsy and John unlawfully, knowingly, recklessly, and feloniously permitted their child to be unreasonably placed in a situation which posed a threat of injury to the child's life or health, which resulted in the death of JonBenét Ramsey, a child under the age of 16. Moreover, the grand jury alleged that John and Patsy did knowingly render assistance to a person with intent to hinder, delay, and prevent the discovery, detention, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, and punishment of such a person for the commission of a crime, knowing that person being assisted has committed and was suspected of the crime of first-degree murder and child resulting in death. I should note that in Colorado, first-degree murder doesn't necessarily require premeditation. There are several circumstances that can fall under first-degree murder, such as conduct which shows extreme indifference to the value of human life and creates a grave risk of death to a person.
We were indicted for, which was nonsense, was child abuse resulting in death. And we were told, well, you didn't protect your child. And that's true. I mean, I regret that I didn't set the burglar alarm or check the windows.
What about accessory? They also voted to indict on accessory.
Really? I didn't know that. I don't know even what that means, frankly.
Meaning that you and Patsy helped someone else.
Really? Well, that's absurd. It's just absurd.
That you and Patsy helped someone else. Someone else.
Really? Well, that's absurd. It's just absurd.
The language in the indictments can tell us a thing or two about what the grand jury believed the parents' role in the crime was. For example, permit your child to be placed in a situation that posed great risk of harm. The word permit to me suggests both knowledge and acceptance of the fact that their daughter was being both sexually and tortured by way of electric shock and controlled asphyxiation, according to the evidence. Also, the allegation of knowingly aiding an individual guilty of a crime of first-degree murder or child resulting in death suggests that there is an unindicted third party who is responsible for the actual murder, but that the Ramseys helped cover it up, explaining some of the strange evidence, such as the ransom note in Patsy's handwriting. A basic review of the physical evidence, circumstantial evidence and connections, even symbolism, and finally the language in the indictments really does support the original theory provided to us by Kathy O'Brien, that the murder of JonBenét Ramsey was most likely a mind control torture session gone wrong. I think it's reasonable to videos. For many, seeing a 6-year-old in sexualized outfits and a full face of makeup was unnatural, revolting, and especially disturbing considering the brutal way she was murdered.
Now, MKUltra was a very complex program that dealt with human experiments and mind manipulation.
As this 1952 CIA memo says, the aim is controlling an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will, and even against such fundamental laws of nature as self-preservation.
In the church committee, MKUltra came out as an actual program of mind control using mental, physical, and sexual abuse and psychotropic drugs.
JonBenét symbolized innocence and light, exploited and smothered out by psychopathic perversion. Her case represents a long list of deceitful adults who repeatedly failed her in life and death. People who used money and connections to evade justice and gaslight the public. I believe the information presented in this video, while not the whole story, is a good starting point to uncovering the truth about JonBenét Ramsey's death and the circumstances leading up to it. I think it also explains why nobody was ever charged and critical questions were never asked. Perhaps the perpetrators, as well as the mainstream media, understood that trauma is the key to mind control, and that a psychologically traumatized population is much easier to control. So with that, I'll leave you the wise words of Kathy O'Brien. The following is from Access Denied for Reasons of National Security, written by Kathy and her partner Mark Phillips and published in 2004. Recently, when I saw my daughter Kelly, she cried when she said, quote, "The only difference between JonBenét and me is that she can't be abused anymore," end quote. JonBenét's murder has prompted rumors of mind control and caused people to think to ask questions that the media won't answer. People are learning that the media is as controlled as JonBenét appeared to be. That precious child did not die in vain. Her memory lives on in all of us. How many more have to die before people in this country wake up and stop pedophilia, mind control, and new world orders? Knowledge is our only defense against mind control. Please help us spread the word for Kelly's sake, JonBenét's sake, and for the sake of humanity's future.